Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're not just telling a story, we're actually piecing one together. We're diving into the myth of Hedammu, an ancient epic that comes to us from shattered clay tablets. So you should think of this less like a storybook and more like an archaeological thriller, where the missing pieces are honestly just as fascinating as the parts we can still read. So let's just start with the core question of this whole myth, because, well, it's a wild one. This isn't your typical story about heroes with big swords. Nope. This is about a desperate last-ditch gamble where the ultimate weapon isn't strength, it's seduction. All right, let's get into it. Chapter 1, A God's Desperate Plan. So our story kicks off with this god, Kumarbi, and he's just been defeated in a rebellion. His first attempt at a superweapon was a creature named Ulikumi, basically a giant, mindless monster made of rock. Just pure brute force, and, well, it didn't work. So for round 2, he completely changes his strategy. He creates Hedammu, not a brute, but a beast, a living, breathing serpent with this endless, gnawing hunger. Now, to create a living monster, Kumarbi needs a partner. And this is where the story gets really, really weird. The sea god shows up and tries to convince a, let's say, very reluctant Kumarbi to marry his daughter, Shuruhi. He's basically pitching her as the perfect incubator for a monster. You know, she's got the body of a giant but a super gentle personality. It is one of the most bizarre and unsettling sales pitches in all of mythology. And Kumarbi agrees, but the details, they're totally shrouded in mystery. The text just says he calls the sea god to a meeting, orders the doors to be locked, and right at that moment, the tablet breaks. Was it a secret pact? Was he forced into it? We'll probably never know for sure. All we know is that whatever happened, this unholy marriage was sealed behind those closed doors. Okay, so on to Chapter 2, The Monster's Bizarre Birth. Yeah, the ancient text does not waste any time on the wedding night. It jumps straight from this forced marriage to the catastrophic result, Hedammu. 1 second, we're reading about a secret meeting. The next, bam, this monster is just here, fully formed. A massive sea serpent defined by only one thing, an all-consuming, endless hunger. It's Kumarbi's perfect weapon. Which brings us to Chapter 3, The Serpent in the Sea. So, news about Hedammu travels fast, and up in the heavens, the reaction is just pure panic. Teshub, the great storm god and Kumarbi's main rival, hears about this new monster, and he completely loses it. The text literally says he wept, that his tears flowed like canals. The strongest of all the gods, brought to his knees by fear alone. You see, Hedammu isn't just a physical threat. He's a psychological weapon, a living hydra whose very existence crushes all hope. The gods immediately realize their usual tactics, the brute force that failed against the stone giant, are going to be totally useless against this living nightmare. And that's when we get to Chapter 4, Ishtar's Seductive Strategy. So with all the other gods paralyzed by fear, an unlikely hero steps forward. Ishtar, the goddess of both love and war. She gets it. You don't fight a monster of pure appetite with a sword. Her plan is as brilliant as it is risky. Step 1, get him drunk on a love potion. Step 2, lure him out with music. And the final critical step, use his own desire against him. And step 1 works almost a little too well. The potion takes Hedammu's infinite hunger and just makes it completely chaotic. He starts devouring everything in sight, not just animals and fish, but the very earth itself, swallowing soil and sand. The world is literally being eaten while he's lost in the stupor. With the monster totally distracted, Ishtar makes her move. Her attendants are playing music, she's dancing, but Hedammu doesn't care. So she does the one thing she knows will cut through the haze. She reveals herself. And just like that, a new kind of desire finally overwhelms his hunger, and the great serpent slithers right out of the sea. And get this, the aftermath of their, let's call it an encounter, is on a cosmic scale. The text claims that their union made the land itself fertile again, creating 130 new cities. This wasn't just a seduction, it was a world-altering, creation-level event. But here's the twist. The story's not over. Chapter 5, An Unfinished Epic. So Ishtar lured the monster out of the sea, right? But he isn't defeated. As that drunken haze finally clears, he realizes he's been played. But instead of just attacking, he issues this chilling challenge directly to Ishtar.
an invitation to his home turf, the sea. A proposition that is, let's be honest, almost certainly a death trap. And on that absolutely terrifying cliffhanger, the ancient clay tablet shatters. The story just stops. We're left hanging with Ishtar facing an impossible choice, and the final outcome is lost to time. A mystery just locked away in broken clay.
So, what happens next? Well, while the real ending is lost, scholars have pieced together what they think happened. They believe that after Ishtar's gambit, the other gods finally got their act together and defeated Hedammu. But how they did it, and what happened to Ishtar after that challenge, that part remains a total mystery. And this leaves us with a final, really fascinating question. The myth of Hedammu shows that the gods' greatest strength was totally useless against Kumarbi's monster. Their survival depended completely on Ishtar's cunning, on her deception. It really makes you wonder, when you're faced with an unstoppable force, is trickery the only path to victory?